Thank you, Mr. Kibiru. Kibiru is a friend of mine. I've known him for a while. Just as the Equity Bank fraternity are friends of mine for many years. I heard that some of you did not want me to be here, but I am here. And I'm here because I am here. As Mr. Kibiru said, our Vice Chancellor, Professor Mbidi, was due to come to interact with you, but this morning we had here, he was called to a meeting in the ministry that has to do with these issues that are happening in the public universities. And so his office called me and said, the Vice Chancellor has asked that you go and represent him in this thing. So quickly I organized myself to come, and I'm here. And I got lost outside here somewhere. It took me half an hour to get to where the gate is. But I'm here. And I'm here because I'm here. So now you want me to go on, is it? Is that why you're clapping? Let me tell you a story. Shall I? This story is told in 3 phases, 3 different phases. Phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. The first phase, are you listening? The story is about a man and his wife. And in the first phase, they are cooking. Who do you think is doing most of the cooking? The who? Keep quiet. Who is doing most of the cooking? Who said the man? No, the woman, the wife. All of a sudden, the man turns around and says, now, you don't go about it like that. You put in the salt, you put in the fat, you put in the onion and blah, blah, blah. And the woman asks him, are you cooking or am I cooking? And that's the end of the first phase. Phase 2, they are driving through town. Who do you think is driving? And the man is driving. Sorry, it's the man. And he's driving, and then all of a sudden the woman says, now darling, you don't do it that way. You go to first gear, and then second gear, and then you turn left, and then you turn right. And the man says, are you driving or am I driving? Now we go to phase 4. So are you telling the story or am I telling the story? When I was asked to come and represent our Vice Chancellor, I realized that it's a good opportunity. And of course, I had the letter from Wings to Fly. So I realized that these are Form 4 students who are eager to join the university system in our country. So I told myself that the best thing would be to tell you about the University of Nairobi, even as I talk about academic excellence, because every university in the world is about academic discipline, academic excellence and academic discipline. And when we talk about academic excellence and academic discipline, they two go together. We are talking about growth. We are talking about growing up. And we are talking about taking charge of our lives. Being in charge of my life. And being in charge of my destiny, of what I will become. When you talk about academic discipline, you are saying to yourself that I want to form myself to the man or to the woman that I want to become. So you must have a vision of who you want to be. You must have a vision. Now, universities everywhere in the world are set up in order to build a society that has a certain amount of discipline. So let me begin by telling you about our university, the University of Nairobi. The University of Nairobi, it's the university, I was just talking to Mr. Kibiro here, and I know he went to Kenyatta University. But before he went, now when, I think Kibiro, you went there when it was already a college, still a college. But you graduated when it was already a university. You see, Kenyatta University used to be a college of the University of Nairobi. Before that, education was taught at the University of Nairobi. But then they decided to transfer the Faculty of Education to Kenyatta when it was a college. And gradually it grew into a university when the Kebiros of this world were now graduating when it was already a legitimate university. All the other universities in this country have found their foundation from the University of Nairobi. They've been run by people who were formed at the University of Nairobi. University of Nairobi, every year, we have a capacity of 6,000 first years. We have the capacity to take in 6,000 first years. This year, we took in 4,500. So therefore, there will be space maybe for a few more through the inter-university transfer. You can apply once you are admitted next year and you're not admitted to the University of Nairobi. You can apply for what we call an inter-university transfer. And that happens. If you get to the University of Nairobi and you find out that the course you have been admitted to is not the one you want, we always have the possibility, not for everybody, but there's certain criteria we follow. We have the opportunity for what we call an inter-faculty transfer. Let's say you are admitted to study economics, but you want to study commerce. So there is a possibility of applying internally, but that is only after admission and after registration. There is that possibility of applying for an inter-faculty transfer. Now, let me talk a little bit about the structure of the university. The University of Nairobi is made up of 6 colleges. 6, almost 7 colleges. The first college is the College of Architecture and Engineering. That's one of the most popular colleges for a lot of students. Students who want to study architecture, those who want to study engineering, go to that college. And of course, the requirement here is quite high. If you want to study architecture, you are aiming at an A of some kind or other. If you want to study engineering, civil engineering, mechanical and manufacturing engineering, electrical engineering, you are looking for serious marks. You're looking for serious discipline. The second college is the College of Agriculture and Veterinary Science. That's another popular one for students. Those who want to study agriculture, those who want to be vet doctors, that's where they study. Within that college, there's also the study of agriculture, where they study farming methods. Within that faculty, there is also food science and so on. Then the College of Education and External Studies. Education and External Studies. There is a College of Biological and Physical Sciences. That's where we study physics, biology, chemistry, biochemistry, anatomy, and all these things. Geology, zoology, and all that. Within that campus, that's where we have our mortuary. And the importance of it is that the first year and second year of medicine are studied there, because that's when they study human anatomy. And the morgue, therefore, becomes very, very useful in that regard. Then we have the College of Health Sciences. That's where we teach medicine, we teach pharmacy, we teach dental science, and so on. Then we have the College of Humanities and Social Sciences. That's where we teach arts, we teach anthropology, we teach all those things, economics, commerce, law, and so on. Then, more recently, we have established another entity which we call ODEL. ODEL means Open and Distant Learning. Open and Distant Learning. This is the entity that takes care of people who want to study. They live in Marsabit, but they want to study at the University of Nairobi. Maybe they are teachers, or they are policemen, or they are something else like that, and they want to study for a degree course. So they study in that entity through distant learning, distant electronic learning, and so on. Now, we have about 44 faculties, directorates, and institutes. We also have quite a good component of international students. We receive a lot of international students, both from Africa and from Europe and a lot of other places like that. Now, before I come to student services, which I will talk about, let me talk about our alumni, people who have studied at the University of Nairobi. We have formed an alumni association, which has, as at now, registered about 10,000 members. The MD of Equity is one of them, and many other employees of Equity. And they are members of this association and so on. But the actual number of people who have studied at the University of Nairobi and graduated is about 260 Kenyans and non-Kenyans. Then let me talk about our academic staff. The people who teach, the people who will teach you, those of you who will come to us. And I will be one of them, because I will still be around, God willing. We have 150 full professors, 150. We have 245 associate professors. And we have 690 senior lecturers and 800 to about 1,000 lecturers. We have libraries throughout the university. In all the colleges that I have mentioned, there is a library in each one of them, and there is a library in each one of the campuses. We have about 11 campuses, and in each one of them there is a library. This is a very important entity within a university. And when we talk about academic discipline, the first thing that anybody who goes to a university anywhere must do is to learn how to use the library. In fact, when we do our master's degree, the master's degree is not any development of any new knowledge or anything like that. The master's degree is basically a stage of academic growth that teaches you how to interact with knowledge and to document it and be able to say where it is and how it can be got. A library is very important in that regard. And anybody who aims at going to any university anywhere must be open to learning. Don't assume you know how a university works. No, but be open to knowing and being taught how a university library functions. And there's a lot of knowledge there, and you must learn how to interact with it. You must learn how to get it and to document where you found it, and so on and so forth. You find journals, international journals, on various subjects and various branches of knowledge, and you must learn how to interact with those as well. Then, let me go back to student services, and this is where Mr. Kibiru was emphasizing what I do at the University of Nairobi. For the last, well, I think it's 14 years or something, I have been Dean of Students at the University of Nairobi, even as I teach in the Department of Sociology. Now, a university is basically about knowledge, acquirement of knowledge and truth. But that alone is not good enough. Because the person who is trying to acquire that knowledge needs to be sane, needs to be healthy, needs to be broad in their thinking. And therefore, and Kibiru was talking about overdressing. I think I'm a bit overdressed. Is that okay if I peel my jacket off? Is that all right? Do I look okay? So I was saying that all of you are being called to come to the university, wherever it is that will be. Of course, if you ask me, I would prefer that all of you come to the University of Nairobi. All right? Then, well, that's easier said than done, of course, isn't it? Because we shall determine whether you're coming to the University of Nairobi only early next year, correct? Only early next year. And while you're going about thinking that, you must realize that the University of Nairobi takes the very best in this country. Let me give you an example. We have a medical school in Kenyatta University. We have a medical school in Moi. We have a medical school in University of Nairobi. I was hearing that there is a medical school they are starting at Masinde Muliro in Kakamega. God wish them well. Let me give an example. So, when the intake this time round was done, when they go to the school of to the discipline of medicine, they say, okay, we have a capacity of so many in Moi, a capacity of so many in Kenyatta University, and a capacity of so many in Nairobi University, in the University of Nairobi. So, Nairobi University, now pick. You are the first to pick, so you pick the top, the cream. Then you go to Moi, then you go to Kenyatta. That's it. You go to engineering, the same. It's Nairobi that always picks first. So we pick the very best. And that's, I'm not boasting, I'm talking about what happens. So really, if you are admitted to the University of Nairobi next year, which I hope you will be, in essence, you will have been recognized to be one of the best in this country. Let me tell you something that really hurts me. Knowing that I'm dealing with the very best brains in this country, when I see a student of the University of Nairobi, and I have seen several, who fails exams, I just don't understand. Because if you do what you're supposed to do, you don't fail exams if you've been admitted to the university. Because we do not admit people who have failed. We admit people who have shown that they have capacity. And once you have capacity, all you need is discipline. So let me go back to student services. Now, I was saying that in order to achieve this goal, of being a good academician, a good person, and a disciplined person, you need certain things. You need to be healthy, mentally and physically. So as a result, we provide sports and games, services, right? Because we want our students to be strong mentally and physically. So that you may be able, your mind, your blood will flow better, and your mind will work better, and will be more alert, and therefore you will be able to interact with knowledge, because that's what we are about. We also provide other services that are meant to produce a wholesome graduate. So we provide associations, clubs and students associations. We registered them at my office. We have about 300 associations registered. The only thing we don't do anymore, during Kebiru's time they used to do it, they would register community and tribal associations. We don't do that anymore. All right? Now, but we register professional associations. So, for instance, those of you who will study economics in our university, you'll find that there is an economic students association. Those of you who will study engineering, you'll find that the engineers have their own association. Those of you who will study in the Faculty of Art, you will find that they have their own association, the art students, and so on. The marketing students in Lower Kabete have their own association. Those are professional associations. But we have also other cultural associations, you know. Like there's a drama club, there is a choir, we have a university choir, we have all manner of other associations. And we provide this so that people can grow through these networks of belonging. We also take care of counseling, for instance, you know. And here I want to dwell a little bit on the fact that a lot of students come to the university and they get into problems of one kind or another, and they don't know where to take these problems. And it's a big, big problem that you come to the university and you just sit there and you go to class and you are dissatisfied about something and you don't know who to open up to. You don't know who to talk to. We have provided such services. We have student counselors. In every college, I have an assistant dean of students. In every campus, in fact, I have an assistant dean of students who carries on the work that is from the central office. And then the student counselor. After the student counselors and the assistant deans, we also try the best we can to provide for spiritual provision. We have chaplains who work under me, work under my office. We have a Muslim chaplain. We have a Protestant chaplain. Then we have a Catholic chaplain. And we have a few other, even Pentecostal ones who support our efforts. So we do all that so that hopefully, we can produce wholesome graduate, human beings who are whole. And now I want to tell you one thing, that being in a university is a very big opportunity. Opportunity not just of getting good grades, not just of preparing yourself for employment, but it's an opportunity for growth. While you are at the university, you must ask yourself, what kind of a man am I going to be? What kind of a woman am I going to be? You know, this happens every day in my life. Even this morning before I came, there is one girl who came in to my office, and he said, hi. Now I said, I always tell them, when you go into an office, it doesn't matter whose office you go to. If it's an office, you don't greet people hi. Do I eat with you? Do I drink with you? Am I your age mate? Am I a little girl like you? I tell you, you must always greet people formally. Good morning. Good afternoon. Small things. These are small things. But a lot of us, I have discovered, Keviro, a lot of us who come from secondary schools don't have the courtesy. Because the first thing you do when you go into an office, you greet that office and say, good morning, sir, or good morning, madam, whatever it is. Then the next thing you do is you introduce yourself. You are a student, yes. But of course, that officer doesn't know every student. So, I am Beatrice, so-and-so. I am in second year in the Faculty of Arts, and the following is what my problem is or what I want to discuss and so on. Yeah, small things like that, that is part of growth. And I tell our students all the time that university is not just about academic grades, it's not just about preparation for work. No, it's about growing up and becoming a proper human being. That's what it's about. And the other thing I want to tell you is this. In schools, in your secondary schools, and even at home, there are certain control systems that sometimes limit your freedom. So for instance, in school you have prefects, correct? And you have teachers on duty, correct? And they limit your time, and they ring a bell. This is time for breakfast. This is time for lunch. This is time to end class. This is time to go to class. And they ring a bell. Then when you go home, your mother says, you don't come home late. If you're a girl, by 6 o'clock, you should be at home, correct? And if you're a boy, by 8 o'clock, you must be at home. Correct? Shut up. It's not true. Yeah, but anyway, let's agree that there is a control system that seems to limit your freedom. Now, I want to warn you, and please listen carefully. When you come to the university, whichever university, the one thing that will happen to you is that you will be coming into a situation where there are no bells. Nobody will ever ring a bell. Nobody will ever tell you that this is time for class. Nobody will ever tell you that this is time to go and sleep. Nobody will ever tell you that this is time to come home or to go to your halls of residence. Nobody will ever tell you that. You are expected to be mature enough to be able to organize your time. And let me tell you something. If you cannot manage time, there is nothing else you can manage on this earth. You are expected, when you are admitted into a university, you are expected to have the capacity to manage your time. It's time for class, I will be in class. It is time for study, I will be in the library, or I'll be in my room, whatever it is. It is time to do my homework, I will do my homework. When you talk about academic discipline, you cannot talk about academic discipline if you are not able to manage time. And managing time means allocating duties to particular moments of time in the day and being able to follow that routine and being able to do it the way you have determined it. So when you're coming to the university, you must know one thing, that you are coming to a setup where there is total freedom and you have to take full responsibility of your life. You have to take full responsibility of that who you are. Now, from my experience, I have seen that when people begin experiencing problems, they become disorientated and disorganized. They're not even able to manage their time in the sense of doing what they should do at what time. And the way I was telling you about student services is because some of these disorientations, some of these disillusions that happen to individuals, if only you were able to share them with somebody, perhaps they may not be as difficult as you think. Because I believe, and I tell our first years every year, and even you who will come next year, I will tell you, that there is no problem that is so big, it cannot find a solution. The only problem will be if you keep it to yourself. And generally in an environment where there is such an amount of freedom, there is bound to come out those disillusionments. And you must be ready to share with somebody. Maybe a friend of yours, maybe a lecturer, maybe, and that's why offices such as mine are established within a university. Let me give you an example of a problem that happened, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago. Yeah, about 4 or 5 years ago, we admitted a girl. We admitted a girl to come and study biochemistry, I think it was. And this girl had, in the process of growing up through secondary school, discovered that even though she recognized herself as a girl, she had discovered that a male organ was beginning to form in her system. And of course, she could not share this with anybody. And even when she shared with the mother was not in any way able to do anything about it. You know the way people say, oh, it's the will of God. And they leave it at that. So anyway, this girl came. Now, when she came to the university, she was determined to deal with this matter. So the first thing she did, this is before even I met her, the first thing she did was to apply for an inter-faculty transfer to move from biochemistry to medicine. Why did she want to move to medicine? Because she wanted to understand what this problem is. That's when I met her. Somebody mentioned to her, why don't you go and have a chat with the Dean of Students? So she came, and the first day when she came and she introduced this whole subject, I was a bit put off balance, obviously. You can understand. So what I did is I went to our health services. We have a whole department that takes care of the health of the university community, both staff and students. We have a section for students and a section for staff. So I looked for the assistant, health officer who takes care of student services. And the reason why I looked for her deliberately was because, one, she's a doctor. Two, she's a woman. And I'm dealing with a woman here, as far as I could see. So she came on board, and I started dealing with the structural issue of how we can help this girl to transfer to where she wants to go. And she started dealing with the medical issue. So that girl succeeded in her inter-faculty transfer, and she went to the School of Medicine, and she has been performing beautifully. She's going to be one of the better doctors, no doubt. In the meantime, we were able to engage our doctors. We were able to engage doctors at Kenyatta National Hospital, and she went through the first operation and a second one, and now she's as man as any man could be. Probably better than most. Who is laughing, the boys or the girls? Who laughed there? Is it the boys or the girls? Anyway, he's now a man, and he's going about life and doing beautifully. What is this man teaching you? Here I am teaching you, and you are teaching her. What's wrong with you? Now, so the point I'm trying to make here is this. Are you listening to me? The point I'm trying to make here is this. When you come into this environment where there is total freedom, the danger of falling into loneliness is also very wide. And if you keep problems to yourself, it will derail your thinking, it will derail your performance, and you will be the loser. So the lesson here is this. University life is about that freedom. It's about that loneliness sometimes. It's about experiencing problems as well. But you must learn to look for solutions. And there are structures in place that can help you take care of those problems. You must keep your eyes open to know what happens and who does it and who can I go to. If you ask questions, you will be told. Every time when we admit students, like yesterday I applied, I want to print about 15,000 student information handbooks, which I print every year, so that our student joining us has a copy of this book, so that all the information he may need, where are these services, who does what, who is the dean of such and such a faculty, who is what, and so on, all that is there. What are the regulations governing student behavior? They are there. You find them. Where is such and such a college located? You find it. And so on. So you must have an open mind and look for that information because the information is there. But if you keep a problem to yourself, you are doomed to fail. I can tell you for sure. So my dear friends, I have told you about the University of Nairobi, and then I have described more or less in general what happens in most universities with regard to student existence and living in universities. And I hope and pray that I will see some of you next year about mid next year or about September next year, and we'll admit you, and we will teach you, and we'll make you good citizens, and so on and so forth. So I wish you well. I wish you well, and I wish to thank Mr. Kibiro and the equity program of Wings to Fly for the good work they are doing for our young citizens. And we wish you well, Mr. Kibiro, and give our regards to James and to everybody. And we are proud to be associated with you. Thank you very much, and God bless you. But before I sit, there is something else I must say. University is about hard work. Hard work. And you must work hard. You cannot get a good degree. You see, you will get a degree, but you can't get a good degree if you don't work. University is about hard work. And in order to work hard, you need that academic discipline. You need to be able to manage your time. You need to be like this architect. This architect I heard about, and he was a very hard-working architect, building all manner of sites, building all manner of structures. And he would go to this site, and he would tell the foreman, listen, my friend, we must finish this job. We must finish this job. And we must finish it in the next 2 months. And I suggest that you put more men on the job. Put more men on the job, and let's get on with it. And he would go to the next site, and he would instruct the foreman the same way. Now, this man had his daughter, a small daughter, 5-year-old daughter, and this daughter was very fond of her father. And he also was very fond of his daughter. And this girl, as the father was going around inspecting these structures, she would follow him around, and he would watch him telling the foreman, now we have to finish this job because we must move to another one. I suggest that you put more men on the job. Put more men on the job. So one morning, they were having breakfast, the man and his daughter. And the daughter asked, Daddy, is it possible that I can get a brother or a sister? And the man says, oh, well, Mom and Dad are working very hard on it, and, you know, trying the best we can, and we will do something about it. Don't worry. And the girl said, no, Daddy, put more men on the job.
So you still want him to stay, or you want him to go?